Solo One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Hello, this is episode 200 of the Solo One Sci-Fi Podcast. I never thought we'd get here. Martin can't believe we're going to get here, but we are finally here. I am obviously joined by Martin as usual, and he's looking very smug that he's got here. We're also joined by Malcolm, who's kind of like are you now a proper member of the team, or are you still kind of like
maybe.
an honorary member of the team? We're also joined all the way from Australia in a very early part of the morning for him. I cannot believe he's turned up, but he's very kind. And that's Nick from Sci-Fanatics. Hello, Nick. How are you doing, matey?
Hello, I'm very well, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be on Nick's show on Saturday. And I promise, look, I will definitely be here. And it was awful because we were talking earlier on about him coming on, and I was just saying, look, you can't do that. It's too. But he said apparently you're a bit of a night owl. I think you said so.
Yes, I tend to be. I tend to do a lot of things after midnight. Yes.
Okay, well that's fair enough. Well, like I said, let's keep it minimum for you. As soon as you need to go, we understand. Let's just go with it. So that's fine.
Sure.
We're also going to hopefully have Brendan from the Sensesphere with us as well. He was on a while ago, but I think he's still sorting out his camera. So I think what we'll do is let's proceed and see how we go. So first of all, guys, how are you all doing? Malcolm, how are you doing?
Yep, all right. Very, very good. So I'm at work. So.
And Martin, you're okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, I can't believe it's 200 episodes now.
I know. And we were just talking about the new Alien Romulus film. Have you seen it yet, Nick?
I have not. No, I haven't had a chance.
Oh, okay. We won't give any spoilers, but we have two of us liked it. One of us didn't. Two of us thought it was good. One of us was not quite so impressed. But on YouTube, I did a poll, and just to rub it in for Malcolm, at the moment it's 92% say they liked it, so that's quite a positive aspect. So
easily pleased.
Easily, yeah, maybe so. Go on, Martin.
92%. I just like to say to my friend, 92% liked. I just want to say, and I know you'll be watching this week, 92% liked it.
Okay, well, if you're not careful, then
Discovery fans as well.
Here he goes. We are now finally joined. Actually, he's just saying connect to audio. I can see him. There he is. Brendan, can you hear us all right?
I can, yes. Good to see you.
Hey, thank you very much.
Hello,
Thank you for
Brendan.
joining us. We were just obviously just talking about Alien Romulus. Nick in Sci-Fanatics hasn't seen it yet. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, we saw it on holiday, yes.
So no spoilers, but was it a yay or nay from you?
It was all right.
That sounds more like Malcolm's perspective. Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, obviously, once we've seen it all, we can maybe discuss it more with Nick rather, but that's fine. So we were supposed to have a couple of other people joining, but they couldn't make it because of commitments. But thank you all for joining us for episode 200. What we simply thought for this episode was that we actually started the first show, Martin, on the 21st November 2019. So it's almost there. And I thought because it's almost 5 years and it's episode 200, I thought, let's talk about the last 5 years.
We're not going to have This Is Your Life moment.
I don't know. Who are you going to bring on? Are you going to bring on? I don't know.
I don't know. Just wondering.
I mean, the thing is, it's been an interesting thing. I mean, from my perspective, when we started, it was literally just before we heard those words COVID-19 for the first time, and how really the world has been generally turned upside down from that. And it's had an effect on everybody's lives, even in the world of science fiction. I remember some footage of Jodie Whittaker trying to film Doctor Who during the COVID pandemic, and they're all sort of like having masks and stuff like that. And Nick, obviously, for the Star Trek side of things, the Discovery was majorly affected.
Yes.
I suppose let's start off with, do you think that because of COVID over the last 5 years, do you think that what we have received would be completely different if COVID hadn't existed? Let's ask Nick first.
That's a very good question. I mean, you would think COVID would have pushed episodes into becoming more bottle shows because you're restricted to the soundstage.
Yes.
You've obviously got your cast and crew, which are essentially locked down to a studio situation exclusively. But there was a lot of production going on, I think, from from a Star Trek point of view, that was out and about on location. I mean, I think Picard season 1 aired in 2020 or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though I would have actually expected it to curtail production a lot more than it did, but I think things managed to kind of push forward, and you obviously saw a lot of production photos with people wearing masks on, and I think they still, even though we're a couple of years out of COVID now, you still see a lot of production stills and everything even this day with people wearing masks on set. So they're obviously still pretty serious about it.
And it's actually interesting that a lot of the end credits of these shows did have things like COVID things to make sure it's safe and for the production. And it said like COVID-19 this and COVID-19 that. And it was quite interesting how even it ended up on the end credits of production of TV series because it was had such a major influence. How about you, Brendan? What do you think from the Doctor Who side of things?
Well, the world got COVID and Doctor Who got flux. So
I like that. That's good.
So something tells me the world did change big time. A bit like Nick was saying, Doctor Who was curtailed, wasn't it? It became a 6-part extravaganza of nonsense.
Yeah.
Yes, they did outside broadcast, they did all that stuff. But you just had this narrative collapse. So it felt to me as though the writers had either had a panic and gone, are we doing a series or not, despite COVID and lockdown? Or another version of that is they were infected themselves and actually their writing skills went through the gutter, because honestly, the plot holes, the characters who were introduced and then we didn't know why, etc., that series of Flux seemed to be severely affected by COVID. And, pretty shocking, I thought.
So it sort of makes you wonder if we'd have been in an alternative universe where it hadn't happened, whether we'd actually have a good 15th Doctor. No, maybe I shouldn't say that.
we did end up in an alternative. When they turned the accelerator on in Geneva, we crossed over.
Oh, what's it called?
Yeah, it happened, and that's why we're watching what we have to suffer now.
How about you, Martin and Malcolm? What do you think about since 2019? Do you think that anything else that you follow might have been different?
They fucked everything since then. It's just fucked now.
By the way, guys, you can't swear on this live stream.
Discovery again. They did it to me again. What a fantastic start! Then it went down the toilet towards the end. Fucking Doctor Who, I've written off now.
Yes.
I'm done.
We've been somewhat cynical, and
I defended it when Jodie came in. I've been shot down for it. I didn't have a problem, and then last series, there were 1 or 2 semi-decent episodes, and the worst thing I've had to suffer, worse than Doctor Who, was the Acolyte. No more.
Yeah, we haven't got a Star Wars representative. I mean, do you want to take from the Star Wars side of things, Malcolm? And obviously you've seen it all. What's your perspective on that? Or should we not ask?
Yeah, just on your thing, I think COVID didn't. I think COVID gave them the excuse, but the idea that they were always going to drop down to like 6 episodes was probably always going to happen. Right. Because they know their writers are not good enough to carry 24 episodes. It would expose their shit writing very, very quickly if they tried to write a 24-episode season. So they have to bottle it down to 6-8 episodes just to fit the manure in on how crap they are, really.
I think another aspect about all this as well is the streaming platform, of course, was completely changed when people were stuck at home in 2019. So shows like The Mandalorian and everything got much bigger, because people weren't having the option to go out. And of course, now we're at the point where the bubble sort of burst, and a lot of these like Star Wars and Star Trek now, they're, I think at the moment, Star Wars in particular is getting a huge backlash because of the Acolyte. There is, to a lesser degree, with Star Trek. There's certainly a mixed opinion on the upcoming Starfleet Academy. I've seen some of your stuff, Nick, which is interesting, reviews. Like also we saw the clip of the new Strange New Worlds, which looks pretty good. But it does sort of make you wonder what the future will be in respect to these big long-term
Yeah,
franchises.
She-Hulk's in Starfleet Academy now.
Yep,
isn't she?
apparently season I can't remember the actress, but I mean I was very underwhelmed by She-Hulk.
It's been. I'm actually surprised about that. It's been renewed for a second season before even one
Yeah.
episode has gone to
Yeah.
air. How do they know the show isn't going to tank from the first episode?
Didn't they do that?
You know, are they,
Didn't they do that quite quickly with Strange New Worlds as well? I think they did that.
yeah, I mean,
I'm
obviously,
not
it shows a bit of confidence that they're confident about it enough to go, yep, okay, let's greenlight a season 2
Yeah.
before season 1's even an air, even a single episode, even a frame of footage. We haven't even got a trailer or anything to look at, and they've even
Yeah, I
agreed
mean,
in a second.
it's strange that because I mean, normally the excitement about watching new shows is to get those first leaked photos and see the new uniforms and see the familiar actors in their new roles. That's the fun of being a long-term fan of these franchises and just getting those sort of same with the Doctor Who. You get like this sort of like foggy, wet, horrible place in Wales, and there's a picture of the TARDIS, and they've got their like raincoats on. Isn't it right, Brendan? When you get those those sort of like, and you think, oh, what's that going to be about? You know what I mean?
That's all you need is a quarry, a new another angle on the same quarry. That's exactly.
Oh, you got to have the quarry. That's part of Doctor Who's lore. Yeah.
Isn't it funny what Nick has just said about you can commission series quite quickly if you want to. On the Doctor Who front, I'm going.
But they did that with because the Disney they did commissioned 2 seasons at the same time, and they filmed seasons 1 and 2. But season 2 had been filmed just before season 1 had finished being aired in the UK. Isn't that right, Brendan?
They filmed back to back, I think.
Oh, did they do it back to back? Oh, I can't remember now.
yeah.
I know.
This is fairly easy to film 2 lots of 9 episodes.
Well,
back
that's
to back.
also the fact.
They used to be 24.
It's not like the old days of TNG where you have 26 episodes a season.
Mm.
And
Oh,
DS9
Those
at the same
days are long
time.
gone.
52
It was
episodes of Star Trek a
fantastic.
year. I mean, what a time to be in. The
Yeah.
90s was the best time for. And of course, if for Doctor Who, there was nothing in the 90s really, apart from the TV Paul McGann movie.
Are
in
they
1996.
are they making that movie on the land and the sea? Is that going ahead now?
Yeah, I've seen
Yes.
that. They're filming at the moment. They've got Brigadier's. What's the Brigadier's daughter called? I can never remember her name.
Okay.
Kate Stewart. Yeah, she's in it. And the lady at unit with the wheelchairs in it apparently, and some others. I'm a bit underwhelmed. I'm not particularly excited about it. I'll check it out.
I'm more looking forward to that fan film, the Doctor Who and was it Doctor Who meets the Scorpion or something. That looks so much better than anything that the BBC
I've not
have
seen
churned
that.
out.
When's that coming out?
I sent it to you earlier today.
Oh,
just
I haven't
haven't
seen it
watched
yet.
it.
Yeah, sorry, you sent me a link, but I've not looked at it yet. Yeah, but it's certainly interesting. I mean, obviously with Doctor Who, it's certainly been going through some interesting things. I mean, in 2019, when we started, The Mandalorian was just about starting, and of course, that started very, very well, and it's become very toxic. But I mean, there's obviously other elements. There's other shows that we follow. I was going to ask Jay and Harris from Sidetrack about what's been going on with Stargate over the last 5 years, and of course, they're very hopeful that a new series is going to be coming along. It seems to be setback after setback, which is a shame. Other shows and other films I've seen in the last 5 years. What about they did another Matrix film? How did you all guys see that? Did you? No, it's not going.
I wish I could forget that.
Yeah, I did.
It wasn't very good, was it? I don't know.
I don't
No.
even think I watched the third one. The second one was so bad, I didn't watch the third one.
That was just terrible. Matrix 4. And this is what I mean. It's they get older. You get some think tank to think, oh, let's make another film. We'll have this bit to it,
Yeah.
and they get the actors back, and the no original writers. It's new writers, and I don't know what it is.
But they didn't even get
why
the
they're
original
trying to
actors back.
poison
They had different actors playing Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Oh,
and
God.
actors playing Hugo Weaving's character and everything. So it's like once you can't get half your main cast and have to
You've lost it.
recast them with different actors.
Yeah.
It's like don't even bother. Like you're up against it right from the start. If that's how it's going to get made.
I'm not sure how it did, but I mean, I was underwhelmed by it myself, and it was a shame that they made the fourth one. Really, they didn't need to. Go on, Martin.
Like one of the most original things I've seen in the last 5 years, I have to say, is Fallout. That blew me away. Did
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
one of the most contemporary
yeah.
show. I've really thoroughly enjoyed Fallout. I think Malcolm was the one that told me about it. I think, or both, maybe it was you as well, Marty. I think you both said to me separately, check it out. I did check it out. Have you, but Brendan and Nick, have you seen that yet, or is it not quite?
No.
Yes,
Not that
yeah,
one.
I really enjoyed Fallout. Yeah, I think that's has that been commissioned for a second season?
Yeah,
I think
it
Yes.
is, but it's gonna be a big
Yeah.
delay. With
it was
season
like
two.
number one on the Nielsen ratings charts for
Yeah.
quite a while for streaming services. So I would
Yeah.
imagine they're going to want to churn out another season of that show.
I think
Well,
there's
the
gonna be a
Wheel Lassie was
delay.
in
with-
it, sort of blown up. She's in like quite a lot of stuff now, so it'll be whether they can afford her now because her bankability's just gone through the roof after that. So
I
they-
also,
Ella Purnell.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's really. I like her. She's nice. And I thought she was really good in the role. I also liked Silo, which is another one you told me about, Malcolm. I thought that was quite good as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What about you, Nick? Have you
I
seen
quite
that
like
as
the
well?
boys. I think the boys has been
I
The
love
Boys
the
is
voice.
good.
Never
Boys is
seen
good.
that.
an interest.
I'm always
Nick-
told
Oh
to
man,
watch that.
you got to watch it. You
Nick-
got to watch the
Nick-
boys.
So what is
Yeah.
that about
The
again?
Boys
I'm being
is
naive.
one
But
of
what is the boys about again? Give us a very quick lesson.
It's
on
Yeah,
that.
not-
The heroes are not quite as nice
Corporate
as you think they are.
superheroes.
Yeah, basically, it's a universe where since the 1950s, since after Second World War,
Yeah.
a pharmaceutical company essentially develops a drug that gives people superpowers. So
they-
basically, all of the superheroes are governed by this one corporation that is evil as all hell.
Right.
And they've got this PR campaign that kind of tries to keep them all squeaky clean, but they're really all the most horrific people imaginable with like the worst sociopathic personality traits. Kind of imagine the movie Hitchcock with Will
Which I
Smith,
enjoyed. I
how he
like
was
Hitchcock. I like that.
so imagine Hitchcock, but like 20 times worse.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. The boys, the writing for it is. You've got to be prepared to be sickened by stuff, but you laugh your head off at the same time.
So it's quite okay.
It's-
I'll check that out.
it's-
I'll check it out. We'll have to review that. How many seasons has it done so far?
I think it's done 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a spin-off that you need to watch after the
I've
third.
not
We don't
seen
need
that.
to. But in between the third and fourth season, there's a spin-off that you should watch. Really.
Well, we've got a long UK winter approaching now, so that hopefully that'll keep me going in January after Christmas.
I'd like to say, has anybody seen Blake 7?
No, look, okay,
Anybody
Martin.
watched
Okay, right.
Blake 7?
Martin, okay, I watched Blake 7 a bit as a kid, and I've been hounded by these two for weeks to watch Blake 7, and I will watch it, but I'm starting to watch the X-Files at the moment, but I will watch it, guys. Have you,
Didn't
Nick and
someone tell me
Brendan?
they redid a remastering or something of that?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
Blake
Bill
7.
Winston.
Blake 7's been remastered apparently, but
2 weeks time.
yeah. How about you? I mean, Brendan, there's obviously from similar
Yeah,
people
no,
who
the-
made.
Yeah,
like it?
I mean, as you were saying about the British weather in the winter. I mean, when we had Blake 7 on, Blake 7 was on, midweek. So
Autumn
you-
and the winter. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So was Doctor
and,
Who.
it was a bit like an attempt to do a Torchwood for the 70s, as in, this is a bit more adult Doctor Who. I mean, season 1 was brilliant. It was so gritty. I mean, when Terry Nation was all over it like a rash.
Yeah.
I really liked how season 1 grabbed you. It was so different from Doctor Who. Season 2 developed pretty well. I mean, it did, there were elements of soap. There were elements of,
That's all right. That's okay. If it works, it works.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there is a Doctor Who connection, Caldor City.
yeah, Colin Baker,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Sea Devils, they're all there.
Yeah. Massive connection with Doctor Who Blake 7.
So
Chris
are you?
Boucher did brilliantly.
So who's getting the new remastered versions of Blake 7? You are, aren't you, Martin? I think Malcolm, are you both getting it? Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah,
100%.
I think yeah.
So is it going to be like new special effects and all that sort of stuff like
Yeah.
they do for Doctor Who and that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
I think so. It's the same
Exactly,
team,
yeah.
isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I will certainly check that out, and but I need to watch it. All I remember about that show was the very, very last episode, and
Yeah.
and also the episode where the Liberated got destroyed, and I was like, oh, it's like because I'm a big ship guy, so there we go. So what else are we talking about? Obviously, in the last 5
I was
years,
Borderlands today.
I think Stranger Things has been a pretty decent highlight. I think there've been some really good episodes of that over the last.
do you think that's
When
also
did that
the?
start?
Yeah, it's
Started
probably about
in
5 years.
20.
Isn't it?
I know that the last season of that was in 22. So it started in 16, season 2 in 17,
So
season
it
3 in
still clips
19.
it though. It still clips the last 5
Yeah.
years. Then, I mean,
And,
the new skeleton crew from Star Wars apparently is based, but it's kind of inspired by the sort of 80s Goonies.
Is it
kind
just
of
me, or
things.
does that seem like a complete rip-off of Star Trek Prodigy? A
I
bunch of
hadn't thought
kids
about
find
that,
a
actually.
spaceship.
Yeah,
A bunch
maybe.
of kids find a spaceship and go and take it on a cruise around the galaxy. And they have an adult character on board who kind of helps them on their journey and sort of points them in the right direction in the Jude Law character. It's like,
Yeah.
that's just exactly like Star Trek Prodigy.
They get stuck in the unknown regions and have to find their way home. It
Okay.
sounds very similar to a series we know quite well.
Yeah. Prodigy
Star
meets
Wars
Voyager.
Voyager.
I was thinking of more like Voyager, but it's similar, a mix of those two shows, I think. Are you all going to watch that, the new Star Wars after the Acolyte, or are you going to like turn your back on the Star Wars franchise? I know you are going to, Dan. You're all going to watch it because you just have
Yeah.
to.
Well, we need
you
something to
you take a
complain
look,
about.
won't you?
Go on, Nick. You go first, sorry, mate.
Oh, I was just going to say, yes, I'm gonna watch it, but the question is it going to be, beyond the first two episodes? Is it going to be something you continue watching where you go, no, this? I mean, it depends. It all depends who has made this show, who's the showrunner, because clearly Leslie Headland didn't have any clues whatsoever
she
about
hadn't
how to
got no
make a
clue.
Star
No,
Wars
she-
series.
yeah, exactly.
Who is behind it? Who is the showrunner on this thing? Because that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I know that Jon Favreau, I think, is involved with it. So that the big guns are more involved with this one, which is a more optimistic thing. But it reminds me of after Solo, how The Last Jedi was out and everybody hated that, and then The Last Jedi plummeted because the Star Wars brand was quite damaged, I think, and so it makes you wonder. And I think there's a lot less excitement now. Again, with Doctor Who as well. It's a shame that the big wigs, the big numbers in science fiction now that are kind of like being like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. I mean, honestly, I used to get so excited about these shows, like the Doctor Who Christmas special or the next Star. I mean, Star Trek. I'm not. I know you're more into the animated stuff, Nick, than I am, but I mean, I'm still excited for the live action. I think Strange New Worlds is good. We all want Legacy, but we're not going to get it. We're going to get Academy instead. And we're just gonna have to hope for the best. But
Look how
I think
Discovery went from 1 to series 5 and just collapsed. Just absolutely.
it's very strange the way that series went. It is my least favorite live action show.
I mean, the first season was an absolute train wreck, and they sacked the showrunners.
They did,
they did, and got different people on to run it after that, because obviously they made some really bad decisions creatively in season 1. But it just, I think it's got to be about character and story first and foremost, rather than that's the same with these Disney shows lately. Let's focus on good characters, good stories, no matter what science fiction show it is, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's focus on storytelling and character first, and not maybe have the number one priority pushing certain agendas or whatever, because that's what it seems to be these days.
The agenda thing is a factor. I mean, I'm not going to focus too much on it, but we're all aware that there is a lot of messaging these days in contemporary shows, and I do think that that is an element that can put some people off. You
can have the message in there if it's a good storyline.
Yes, but the message is more important than the storyline. That's the thing. Exactly. You can have both. You can actually respect that, but it's more the priority of the message rather than the storyline. I think that's an element that's the problem. What do you think, Brendan?
I think they've tampered over these last 5 years. Sci-fi, they're forgetting what a sci-fi concept is.
Yeah.
And they seem to be, I mean, Star Trek Discovery and Doctor Who have really fallen for this trap, which is they want the emotional baggage of each character rather than an escapist story. And let's look at a new sci-fi concept or idea. It's all about the emotional baggage of a character. So it's basically soap in space. That's all it is to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they've forgotten what this genre should be.
But it's amazing that it has been forgotten. You would have thought that there's so many fans like us who know how to look out for good writing, that there aren't people who are higher in the actual business who can actually get on our wavelengths and think, well, yeah, that's something which would be well written and developed, but it's not.
Have you not noticed though that out of all this new stuff like Star Trek, I love Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but when you go back to like the Next Gen, DS9, classic Doctor Who, there were always episodes 30 years later that stand out as legendary or with an amazing message. And in all the new stuff, there's no episode that stands out like that. Like with Next Gen, there's certain episodes that were complete, like the case of Data when he went to court and it was about creating a racist slave, but there was a moral message. The conspiracy about when Picard said, well, we need to be awake to stop these people.
Yeah.
There were and then 30 years later, people are talking about that because it's relevant.
And it still works.
Any new stuff today, has it got a message like that? Anything? I've not seen come across. Oh no, Peter Capaldi when he did that speech with the Zygons and the other person.
Yeah.
In that room with the two boxes, because he was that stands. That's like out of Doctor that stands out.
But he was so good. He was so good at it.
It also seems that those two franchises I'm talking about, the Star Trek Discovery one and Doctor Who, have fallen for that Star Trek 5 movie thing about the God complex. Where suddenly you have to have Space Jesus. You have to have, Doctor Who has turned into more than he ever was. And that's what's destroyed it, really. We need him back to just being an alien and not this super amazing person who can fly like David Tennant when he was in the Subwave Network and all that stuff. And look at Michael in Star Trek Discovery. She became a superhero.
It became annoying. It became quite annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, she always was a bit annoying, but
if the characters are so perfect that they can never fail in anything, then it takes away any kind of sense of tension or excitement, because they're just going to be perfect in everything they do.
It's like it reminds me of Picard in Chain of Command, where he was being tortured and he was almost defeated. He was just like a shell of a man, but he was still. That just shows that he's not a superhero. He's got his limitations in a situation where he is let down. He is exposed to the fact that he's just a human being who's got the right aspects, but he's just trying to survive from torture. And you never got that in contemporary Star Trek or Doctor Who.
Nothing stands out though, does it? Not like that. Nothing.
No,
like Deep Space Nine, but the Sanctuary Districts. That episode, the two-parter.
There's so many episodes of DS9.
In the Pale Moonlight.
Yeah, exactly.
That stands out 30 years later.
Oh, it will stand out 100 years later. You can't. It's just so good.
Name anything new that's been made it after the pandemic that really stands out story-wise.
I think Picard season 3 has some wonderful.
Yeah, that were good.
To me, that was the pinnacle. It was the pinnacle for me of Star Trek in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it was for me.
Yeah, the nostalgia of that was good. Take the nostalgia elements out, and it wasn't that
carried that though, didn't it?
Yeah, but I still love it. I still like that.
Every time they look back at a series, so with Doctor Who, when they brought David Tennant back, people quite liked it. There's Toymaker they brought back, people quite liked that episode. Picard season 3, when they look back, to the older stuff, everybody seems to enjoy that. So don't these sort of showrunners realize that the more you shit on what came before, the more your ratings are going to drop. You're having it handed to you how much everybody preferred it like it was over what you're giving them now.
Yeah. Now, listen, on this point, we've got about 2 minutes before Zoom. We're going to have to reset Zoom, so we'll have to have a 10-minute break. Nick, do you want to say adios at this point because it's the middle of the night?
I
think it's pretty fair. I think that's fair enough.
We've got
about 2 minutes, so yeah, that's what I thought. But listen, so let's finish off with you, and then we'll. Brendan, are you all right to come back in 10 minutes with me? Nice one. Let's finish up with you, Nick. So, any last opinions of the last 5 years of Trek? What's been your highlights for you?
Look, I mean, we've had so much from obviously, Lower Decks started. We had all 3 seasons of Star Trek Picard, which progressively got better as it went along.
Yeah.
We got Prodigy, we got Strange New Worlds greenlit off season 2 of Discovery and everything. So obviously, I think on a Star Trek front, I think I'd have to say that particularly as you were just saying, this third season of Picard last year, and Strange New Worlds have been absolute highlights on that front. In the last 5 years, and look, I think it kind of feels like now Strange New Worlds it will be taking over as the flagship show. I don't necessarily think that. I want to love Section 31 and stuff.
We hadn't talked about that. I'm underwhelmed about that.
But I just don't know whether they're going to have the same level of appeal.
No, I agree. Well, listen, Nick, thank you very much for coming on. We do appreciate it big time, and I'll be with you next weekend and we'll have a big chat about the new stuff. So thank you very much. Okay, so we're back. Sorry that obviously Nick's gone. He's gone to bed now. But I'm still surprised that he actually got up because it's the worst possible time. I have to say I've never done a podcast with anybody at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not planning on doing it again soon. But like I said, it's good of him to do that. So Malcolm, you were just saying as we hit record, was it Borderlands?
Borderlands, yeah.
So what's that about?
So Borderlands again is based on a computer game.
Okay.
A computer game I've never seen. So like Fallout and Halo and that, I went in completely blind, not knowing what it was about at all, and I've got to say it was not good.
Really?
Is it not any good then?
Yeah. So if you imagine back in the 80s, you had your films like Escape from New York, Tank Girl, Buckaroo Banzai, even Mad Max 2.
Yeah.
Imagine that kind of dystopian thing. All the elements of that mashed together, and then just a really shit film come out. Once again, they've gone for, let's pay big names. Kate Blanchett as a bounty hunter works better than you think, but still not that good.
No.
Kevin Hart, I mean, the guy's a mediocre actor at best. You don't really need him for anything. Jack Black character playing the little stupid robot. In the 80s, again, you always had the little sidekick, didn't you?
Yes.
You know,
Just the way they did it, yes. The way they did it.
Yeah. So they got the stupid little Star Wars type robot that Jack Black does the voice to.
Okay.
And it just really, really wasn't good. I recommend you watch it. I do recommend you watch it, but it just was not good. It wasn't.
Okay.
They had such a great thing to go on. This game is much loved. So they had the storyline, they had everything going for them, and then they just went, cast, special effects, let's concentrate on that and not really worry about the story, which is a going theme these days.
I think also it's important to get the word of mouth. If people say, that wasn't very good, then it tends to be. It's like the new Joker movie, isn't it? Where we talked about this a bit last week, where it's more of a musical, and Martin, who's more of a Batman, you couldn't stand it, could you?
I had to go see it, and
no spoilers in case Brendan wants to see it, but there was a big spoiler he said last week, so yeah.
Well, I'm down to say one thing. It was as bad as The Acolyte, and it was
oh, come on, it couldn't be that
really
bad.
Was. I just wanted the last one. Look, I know people like the first one. I wasn't really a fan of the first one.
It was all right. I was on the fence for that one.
It was quite depressing, but that cost 20 million. They spent 200 and some million on the sequel, and all I wanted to do was leave that cinema. That's all I wanted to do. And when you got to ending, Brendan, it's up to you if you watch it, but be prepared for 3 hours of pure absolute shite.
My big question, Malcolm, with anything now is, for some reason, I know why I love science fiction, but I fear watching any science fiction show and it ends up being a musical. That's what I'm worried about nowadays.
Yeah. I blame Joss Whedon. Amongst his more severe crimes, his musical episode of Buffy is kind of what kicks this off. This idea.
It was.
Yes. Yeah.
And all that, and it's just anytime anybody says, they're brilliant, you're just boring. I'm not boring, you're just a muppet,
And obviously Strange New Worlds did it. Strange New Worlds did in season 2. I didn't mind it myself as a one-off, but that was based on the catalyst of the Buffy thing, I think. And I think now we've had obviously Doctor Who, the singing, dancing gremlins with the Christmas special last year. We loved that, didn't we, Brendan?
Oh, do you know the words?
Did you
well,
like
the singing dancing one with that? What's her name? The piano woman.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, Jinx.
Maestro.
Whatever.
Maestro. Yeah.
Which,
to be fair, though, the song and dancing at the end of that, it was great to see that young Ruby Lass dancing. I know we shouldn't say that, but that was good TV.
Did you like? Did you like the Strange New World singing episode?
No,
I liked it. I liked it.
I didn't like hardly anything of season 2 of Strange New Worlds. I liked the first episode, the courtroom one, and after that, I thought it nosedived massively.
I've got to say, and I'm going to confess to something as well. I did like the Klingon R&B bit. I thought I couldn't stop laughing.
I
You
think
know,
I was
the
asleep at that
Klingons when they were
point.
doing
I think I'd
R&B.
literally fallen asleep, and I missed that bit. And
I
I've
do.
never gone back and watched it.
I have a confession to make as well, and I'm going to be shot down for this. I've watched Agatha all along, and do you know, I've enjoyed it so far.
I watched the first episode.
No,
and
not checked it out.
We'll carry on with it. I watched the first
I've enjoyed
episode.
it. No, it's all right. It's not so bad. I watched. I
But
caught up with it all
I,
that week and thought, not bad. This actually.
I
I
know.
wasn't impressed until she went to the morgue,
Yeah.
and then it kind of kicks off. Then, and that's when it took a serious 180, and then I thought, oh, actually, this might be quite good.
There is only one successful musical science fiction. You know what that is, don't you? What's the only musical science fiction that's ever worked, and it's fantastic? No,
Rocky
Go
Horror.
on.
no. Yeah. Jeff Wayne's The War of the Worlds.
Oh,
Oh yes.
yeah, no.
Now
That's
that's good. That is. Look, America's like no.
Yeah, but it's not a film. Though. It's an
You know
album.
what? I don't
it's
think
an
I've ever
audio
listened
stuff.
to the album.
It's an album.
I
It's
might
not a
find the
film.
name,
That,
too.
you know, it's not. You can't count it.
Well, because it's not a visual. Well, yeah, all right, but
No, you can't count that. No, you can't count
okay.
that.
I didn't
No.
know it's audio based only, but I love that.
Well,
album.
let's see. I've seen the stage play. That could be.
I've seen that. I went to the Millennium Dome when it was the O2. It was really, really good. But in the last 5 years, sticking to our subject of the week, the one thing in the last 5 years from the UK, which they also made, and I just mentioned it, but it wasn't the musical, The War of the Worlds with Robert Carlyle. And we reviewed it by episode 3, Martin. What did everybody think
I was
about
thinking
the...
before they made two series came out at the same time.
Yeah, there's the American
And I'm
one with
not sure which one
with
of
the
them I
dog.
watched.
Yeah, the American one was not. It was just in name only. It wasn't the War of
Is
the
that
Worlds
still
story.
going? Is that still going? That one? 'Cause I heard it is. That's where them robot dogs run.
Robert, yeah, I saw
I've
the first
seen
season.
some of
I
it.
didn't see the end of it.
It's like a European production, isn't it? American European, isn't it? And I've heard that's still going. Is that still? Did it seems. I think it's still going.
I don't know. I mean, but I was just thinking because obviously we talk about the BBC and obviously we talk about Doctor Who in the last 5 years.
Oh,
The BBC's War of the Worlds was made
Oh,
in
that
2019. Come on, I know we talked about it 100 times, Martin. What do you think about
I
that?
know, but we used to do a live stream after it each week.
Did we? I
And
can't remember that.
we
Okay.
used to- we got people on, and everybody hated.
Oh, was it on your channel? Or was I involved with that as well?
I don't know. We did.
I don't
we
think
did,
I was
we
in-
did live thing after, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
When
that
we-
very very short period. Yeah, it was a long time
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, okay.
Is it the one where virtually the whole entire thing is done through a really red filter?
Yeah,
It's kind of
it's based after the events, and it's like the red dust, and it's like a post-apocalyptic thing where the Martians are dead, and then it's all flashback. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was a year overdue, and
Yeah,
and
I
we
remember that,
finally
yeah.
got there, and then we saw the walkers, and it was just absolute crap.
Yeah,
Every week. I think first episode, that's when they arrived, that were okay. And then it just went
just
down.
got worse.
Then we
It got
the-
worse. Yeah, it got worse.
We got the big reveal of they had 4 legs and they went round sucking blood out of you. And then the world turned red and she figured something out and it finished and it was
There was a
like,
little plant growing at the end, wasn't it? Which
Yeah.
shows life. Yeah.
it was just a waste of time.
Did you ever see that, Brendan? Did you watch that?
No, I to be honest, I seem to bypass a lot of BBC now for a few reasons. You know,
Do you know what? I know. I mean, honestly, what the earth are the BBC making these days? It's just like they just don't
I
seem to
don't
make
know.
anything worth watching.
I
do
don't
they?
watch it, mate. I do not.
No.
I sneak onto iPlayer now and again to watch Doctor Who.
Yeah,
I
the
watch,
classics. And
sometimes
that,
I
yeah.
watch Question Time, but I watch nothing. If you said to me what's on ITV right now, I wouldn't. I've not watched ITV in about 6-7 years.
I haven't
8
either.
years.
I don't watch any live TV at all. I don't know why it's
I
still
watch
on.
YouTube. I stick to YouTube.
I do
all the
too.
time
Yeah,
now.
I mean, you just watch
Yeah.
my
Still
channel.
pay for your TV license.
Well, it's just that we're always watching the Sense Sphere all the time, and that's it. That keeps us going.
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
it?
I watch Brendan's channel.
I
watch
do as well.
Brendan's
I mean,
channel, yeah,
Brendan
yeah.
often has me on. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you and your co-host and stuff like that. And you're on tonight, aren't you, Brendan? You're doing one tonight.
Yeah, we're doing a live one tonight. Oh, it's an existential crisis on Doctor Who.
The thing is, though, on your channel, it's always like-minded people. Like, yeah, we like Doctor Who. This is where it is. We're not exactly thrilled with a lot of what's been going on, and it's a shame. But it's inevitable when they make this sort of content. And I think that, you know, it's, I don't know, it's so strange. I mean, I suppose at this point it'd be interesting to sort of like speculate what would it be like in the next 5 years. Okay, we've been on the show for 5 years. Imagine we come back, it's 10 years anniversary. What do you think the big franchises will be like in 5 years' time? Let's ask Malcolm first of all. You like all these shows. What do you speculate? How do you think the world would be? Would it be still the messaging? Will they kind of compensate for that? Or be worse, or what? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think shows will probably die a lot faster because everything will go to streaming.
Okay.
That's the only thing you'll get, and they'll be able to target viewership a lot easier, and that will kill stuff. I don't believe that Doctor Who is going to die after this series. I think just to be bloody minded, if anything else, he'll keep it going. You know, if Disney won't give him money, someone else will. Someone will.
I wondered that. Let's ask you, Brendan. What do you think about Doctor Who in the next 5 years?
He's not going to budge. He's like a particle now, and so I think he will just keep writing and writing. Bad Wolf are happy with him. It looks like the BBC are happy with the spinning that output. It fits all their quotas and all the rest of it. So I think Shooty obviously will eventually leave. Of course, he has to because he's an amazing star, apparently, according to RTP.
Yeah,
and
apparently.
then after that, they will resort to another female lead, I think.
Really? Okay.
Well, you know, we can't go back to white male still, can we?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if they might go for a trans Doctor.
I think you're going to kill Doctor Who if you do start hitting every tick.
Or disabled Doctor. You know, I know it sounds a bit, but you kind of wonder, and not being rude. I'm just contemplating.
You say we're all older as well, and I think Brendan's right. You can't have the stereotype white dude anymore. We're beyond that now. Yeah. And there's also a younger audience that's more open-minded than what we are. You've got to think it's about representation now, and that's the way it goes. Everybody has the right to be, you know, all kinds of people watch different things, and you've got to include everybody, and that's what it's about. I think times are changing, guys, and you know, that's where it's all going. You know, the people call it woke and all this, but end of the day, times are changing. We live in a different world now. And
it seems people are happy with no story. I mean, I try and get people on my show about who like season one because I need to hear it.
Yeah.
And I can't understand. How did you like that? If you like Doctor Who, how did you like that component or that component? Because it seems to be anything that wasn't consistent to the normal character, anything that's not consistent to the canon, anything that's not consistent to the world that's been built over 61 years is acceptable to these viewers. It's like anything goes. And I find it fascinating. What are they wanting? Is it just entertainment that shows themselves? Or is it a bit more than that?
It's an interesting one. I mean,
I know it winds a lot of people up because I've seen some YouTube videos where people are kicking off about it all. But I just think times are changing. I really do. I think that's, you know, and that's the way it is. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I just think it's the way of the world now.
Do you think in the next, Michael, do you think in the next 5 years, I mean, what my question is, why I don't know why sci-fi doesn't do kind of more art. And when I say arcs, I mean proper arcs, you know, like episodic. You know, you build, you know, I know we've got streaming and you can binge watch and everything, but I still think if they structure a series as before, you can build an audience a lot better than actually just having these one-off non-events.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it reminds me of sort of Star Trek when Deep Space Nine and obviously Enterprise started having proper arcs rather than sort of standalone sort of fluff episodes which don't actually account for anything and then it's done. Doctor Who and New Who has had quite a few arcs, perhaps to a lesser degree. I mean, let's think about the current or the last season or series. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of
I'm not entirely sure I agree. Things like Stargate and Deep Space Nine, they had ongoing story arcs and then fit bottle episodes in.
but
And I
yeah,
think that is a much,
they did it in a
much better
way.
of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it did it in a
The-
way
the
which sort of
key-
worked.
The key to it, you can have a diverse crew of, and you can make it, and if you get the story writing right, you can have a crew of all types of people, and it's universe building. First
Babylon
season,
5, for
get
instance.
to know your characters. Second season, start the arc and build it slowly. But then again, if something doesn't work after 5 episodes, it gets cancelled. So nothing gets a chance to grow, does it now?
So
Nothing.
let me ask. Obviously, you asked me a question, Brendan, which I sort of didn't properly answer. But I mean, I suppose let me ask a question back to you. What if they had to remain with the current cast, the current writers? What do you think then they could actually do to improve it? Do you think they should have more? I mean, like I said, as Malcolm said, there was kind of like there was arcs and storylines, but also standalones which sort of fitted in on its own, but within that sort of aspect of the actual arcs. Do you think there are things that they could do which could improve the way that they did in season 1?
Funnily enough, I'd be getting rid of RTD's version of an arc because he's got more arcs than Noah, but there's no story. I mean,
Yeah, it's just not there.
He needs to reverse it. Yeah, the threadbare, and which is why I think what you were saying, Martin, earlier, that with New Who particularly, how many people really rewatch them? Because you see them once to see whatever is sorted out, but unlike a lot of the older Doctor Who shows, you would be rewarded by watching them again and again and again. Whereas there's a couple, Midnight and a couple of Stolen Earth. There's one or two, but of course they're all finales and stuff where you might rewatch for a certain action sequence. But no, you do not rewatch like you do a good story from classic Who. There's not much from New Who. I'm being very honest because I've watched every episode like we all have, and I don't rewatch these ones. And why would you? Because the series seems to be just what's the end of the arc. That seems to be the only reason you watch.
Yeah, just yeah.
And the other thing is, I mean, it's like when I watched the last series and she said to Blue, are you? And he goes, I'm the last of the Time Lords. And I'm sat there thinking, well, you've been last at Time Lords for the last 5 years. Then you brought them back. Then you got rid of them. Then you brought them back. And then they were trapped in a parallel universe. Then they come back and then Master exterminated all of them. And then in next few years, they're going to bring Time Lords back. And
It goes around in circles, though. It's kind of like
that's what I mean.
like
There's no progression.
It's got a limited resource of regurgitating in a slightly different way. I mean, Malcolm, you're not a big fan of New Who generally, are you? I mean, you've said to me,
Not really. There were a couple of good episodes per season, but generally, for me, Doctor Who really started to go downhill in the Sylvester McCoy era when they suddenly started. The Doctor wanted to become this know-it-all idiot who didn't stumble across stuff. He was now specifically going places and dealing with stuff and like he knew everything. And that to me is where it started to fall apart.
That's where we are now. We're in that stage now. You remember them last years when it were always going to get cancelled, and they put it out against Coronation Street.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember how it really was.
Remember
out for blood.
That's where with Doctor Who now. This is where we are. We're at that stage again. So the question I put to all,
I wanted to have a 10-year hiatus. 10-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just been collecting the poll results for later, and it's fascinating. People are not happy. People are not happy, and I can factually say that now. I mean, they are not happy. No, it's very rare for somebody to say, will you just please continue the show without changing anything?
Yeah.
Really, a lot of people want to change the showrunner because, of course, the showrunner is affecting the tone and the direction of the whole blooming thing. I think if you change that, no, I'm saying things that aren't going to happen because we're in the wrong world.
Yeah.
But if RTD was changed, a lot of fans are saying they would accept it. I think, unfortunately, Ncuti has been now tarred with the RTD second era. And, you know, I think it would have to be a new broom. And I think we have to stop having RTD followers becoming the next showrunner. You know, we've had this component now for 20 years. A third of Doctor Who has been in their hands.
Yeah.
You know, New Who has bastardized the whole franchise. It's changed the formula. It's changed its tone. There's no behind the scenes. There's no jeopardy. According to By Generation, none of them died. You know,
Yeah, that was ludicrous. That was ridiculous.
You
it's
say,
completely changed it.
you say they say from a business point of view as well. Doctor Who was the BBC's biggest moneymaker, especially on collectibles, figures, and all the
Yeah.
toys and all.
Yeah, merchandise.
And I cannot understand. I mean, I think there was one year they made 150 million out. That was just out of memorabilia. And I can't understand why you would damage a franchise when it's raking in money like that. Because at the end of the day, this is about money, making money. And I can't, if you're a business, you're not going to damage something that's printing money for you, are you? And I can't understand it that these people that have took it over are just running it into the ground. It's about money, surely.
Well, I think I was talking to Michael recently on one of the streams. Michael, didn't we say that to make Doctor Who more, to make it darker, to make it grittier,
Yeah.
that would grab the kids. It would make
Absolutely.
it an TV.
Absolutely.
And I think this is a problem with sci-fi generally, from what I've seen, which is that some of the writers or showrunners in charge of sci-fi, they don't really understand sci-fi. They make it slapstick, a bit of a gimmick, too emotional. They bring soap and other kind of elements in, but we're not getting that kind of sci-fi element. So they don't take it seriously. I mean, you wouldn't do a musical in a sci-fi. You wouldn't break the fourth wall in sci-fi. But these people do because they don't understand what sci-fi is. And so Doctor Who, in its absolute DNA, is get the kids behind the sofa, get them scared, get them in school on Monday saying, were you scared of that? That's what you want to do. But
On,
the RTD, Stephen Moffat and the other one don't want to do that.
On your last show that I was on, I can't remember his name, but there's this fantastic artist who made these incredible designs.
Oh, Daryl Joyce.
Right, and honestly, you should have seen his interpretation of the Cybermen, the Daleks, the everything, and I was blown away as just how well these were designed and how. Imagine seeing these in 2026 Doctor Who or something. Honestly, it would have pulled in so many people. Just the visual aspect of what he was doing, and they could do that. I mean, but they've got no inspiration in BBC to have that creative inspiration. You've got people out there who can create great stories, great visualizations. They need to get those people working for the BBC.
Yeah, but the other thing is as well now today, it's like if somebody creates like look at the series Dark Matter, right? I'm a big fan of that. That got cancelled at the end of season 3. The problem is that we're lucky to get that far. But when they make a series now, if it's not picking the ratings up by episode 5 and 6, they're going to cancel it. The streaming network cancelling stuff left, right, and centre. It's got to get the viewer. So nothing is getting built anymore. Because if it doesn't at a certain point, that's it. You think this is great, this new series, and you know. Like Fallout, first season, that was amazing. But
it was very good. Yeah, very good.
You see, it's like Halo. First season of Halo's really good.
I never saw that.
Second season, they cancelled it. And it was just starting to move, you know, going somewhere. By third season, the story arc would have expanded.
Yeah.
But you don't get there now. A few episodes, it's gone. And that's where we are. And it's such a shame because some say like Babylon 5 started, that we're going to get cancelled every season. By third season, people can switch it off because they built on it and they created something.
To be fair,
you don't get that now.
4 complete seasons. 4 seasons was what that was signed up for from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
But just to go back to what you were saying with children and Doctor Who, back in the classic Doctor Who, one of the best things Doctor Who ever did, not because of the character, but as a move to do, was they killed off Adric. That was shock TV.
I loved it.
You were just flabbergasted. Now New Who comes along, and every single companion is killed, but not really. They all die, but not really. They all come back. They're all dead, but they come back. They're all dead, but they're still around. What is that teaching children? about anything. What's that teaching? Oh, Granddad's dead. Okay, when will he be back? What
I mean-
the fuck is that teaching anyone? It's nonsense.
I mean, when I watched the Sotek thing, the big final with the
Oh
Delphi,
no, we're not going to go
and-
there, are we? Oh
and-
no,
no,
bloody hell.
but when after I watched that, I watched the original next day.
Oh, the original's
Pyramid-
great. Pyramid
The
of Mars is
Pyramids of
yeah.
Mars.
Excellent.
And guess which was superior? The
Well, it's
original.
not hard to work out from what we saw, is it?
So
You know.
you noticed when you watched it that not only did he get the wrong god to put on top of the
Yeah.
TARDIS, but also he got how the Sutek was killed wrong as well. Sutek
Yeah.
wasn't anywhere near the time corridor when he was
No, it
killed.
wasn't.
Any idiot watching it could have told him
Yeah.
that. He fucked that up completely. Every aspect of that entire final bit was shit. It's like he'd never even seen the episode.
I think Brendan, you did a review as soon as you came. It actually was released, and you guys like, okay. I mean, but somebody laughs about like Sutek sitting on top of the TARDIS, and it was amazing.
I've got a question.
Go on.
What would you like to see come back? Something like a classic brought back.
Blake Seven.
No, you mean a sci-fi show? You mean tripods?
Yeah,
The
what
tripods.
would you like to see come
The
back
tripods. The tripods.
Right.
I love
well,
the tripods.
Blake Seven, Firefly, Almost Human.
Never saw Firefly.
The Dresden Files. All of those deserved more than they got. Blake Seven deserves to come back. The rest of them deserved more than one season.
Space 1999.
UFO.
Oh yes, and there was that, and it was on a bit later. Star Cops, and
Oh
I think
yeah, I
I-
remember that.
Oh,
Oh,
80s,
yeah, I love that.
80s, yeah,
Love
Star
that.
Cops. Yeah, that was good.
I loved
did like
it,
that.
but I always remember that Star Cops was replaced on a Friday night by Red Dwarf.
Yes.
Really?
Like that following
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
Red
Yeah,
Dwarf
actually,
was-
I think I remember that now that you mentioned it. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Well, listen, guys. I mean, I think we'll wrap things up quite soon. So, I mean, obviously, the last 5 years have certainly shown a lot of interesting things. Anything else you could think of that's been poignant in the last 5 years before we wrap things up? The only thing I can think of, I was going to say, I saw they did another Bill and Ted's movie, which was all right. That was the last 5 years. How about you, Brendan? What do you think about?
Oh no, I was just thinking. When we got into sci-fi as kids, it was seen as a bit of a kind of nerdy lads thing. I mean,
Yeah,
that
well.
was the truth. It was the truth. I mean, it has. We're trying to spread the field now, but when you look at the sci-fi franchises now, they prefer not to present to the classic as was sci-fi nerd. They're now trying to do something different. Now, well done, you're trying to do something different, but where in the present sci-fi are they still feeding that sci-fi nerd who was normally a little lad getting into H.G. Wells, getting into this, getting into that? Where is that now? I don't see that now. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I don't
okay.
either.
You have female leads, do it in Star Wars.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
do
sure,
what
yeah,
you're
that's
doing,
fine. Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that.
but I'm not seeing the other. That's gone.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to get that perspective, isn't it? As you say, I mean, also these shows when we were younger, it was more of a niche kind of nerdy kind of thing, and of course these days they try to make it more of a broader appeal. So perhaps it loses some of its uniqueness because it's more like just an average show. Well, I don't know whether that's the right way of
You
describing
see,
it.
people have fallen into the ones who've joined it. It tends to be the emotional stuff. It tends to be the representation stuff.
Yeah.
The sci-fi stuff for the sci-fi nerd that originally got into sci-fi. Where's the sci-fi stuff? So take away the trans character Yasmin Finney. Take away this character. Take away that character. What is left? And I don't see much. Kate Stewart holding the hand of one of the guards. So here we go for the spin-off.
Yeah.
Take all the romance away. Take all the baggage of emotion away. As a sci-fi nerd, where's the sci-fi?
Yeah.
It's gone.
When are we going to see him reverse the polarity of the
the
neutron,
neutron flow,
Doesn't happen.
Yes.
Just snogging. That's all he does.
Well, turn that cyclotron on in Geneva and we could end up crossing over. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame. I mean, Doctor Who, I've always liked that it actually embraces its past and actually brings back characters. But if they bring them back in such an unrecognizable way, then don't bring them back at all, i.e. Sutek. It's an interesting one. I don't know how it's going to continue, but it's been great with Martin for the last 5 years, obviously reviewing these shows and seeing how they're going. and I hope that we're going to be around for a long time to come. Doctor Who, I'm looking forward to the next Doctor. Although in some ways, like I said, give it a break, give it 10 years off. It's been good.
I don't know. We need to give it 10 years. I don't want to go back to it when I'm 60. I want them to sort it the fuck out now. I want them to get it right now.
I think also, another YouTuber has said quite often that he thinks that after Russell T Davies, there'll be nobody else who'd actually want to be doing the job of being showrunner. I don't know whether he's right or not, but it's interesting that obviously.
I think there's plenty of people out there that would.
Do you think so?
I think the four of us.
We'd be great. We'd get like
fan, for instance, yeah. I mean, that's all he allegedly was to begin with, wasn't it? Was a fan of the show that argued and campaigned to bring it back. We just need another one of them.
Well, Chris Chibnall, I remember him
to rip it out of his hands.
I remember Chris Chibnall when he was on like some chat show as a Doctor Who fan in the 80s, and he looked like this sort of dorky kind of teenage guy with little glasses on, and it was quite funny seeing him. And I mean, okay, he didn't do very well, but he did.
Wouldn't you love to go back then and show him what he did to the show, and see what younger him thinks of it?
What, create a paradox or something where Doctor Who like just disappears in a puff of smoke?
I think there is people out there. There is capable writers that could put this back where it should be. I think the talent's out there, but where we are at the moment in our
what about
I don't think it's going to happen.
What about a writer's policy like they used to do with Star Trek, where they used to actually get people writing in stories? And
I like the fans,
yeah, that was such a great idea. Open it up to the fans.
Open it up.
Yeah,
they should open it up.
Rather than getting people who are kind of hired, but it might not be exactly. They're not the fans. It's us guys who can write the story. I mean, Malcolm was showing me all this stuff with ChatGPT about writing all this stuff, and he was made. Yeah. And it's like, I know we're not saying use AI, but people, the fans can create stuff, and the people that are making the shows, they just don't get it, and they just don't.
The trouble is they're picking different. If I wrote a novel now, everybody tells you, "Oh gosh, you'll be lucky to get a publisher because they've got their set quotas what they're looking for."
Yeah.
With the next writers, RTD with Rogue, for example, he picked 2 female writers. Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
2 female writers who'd never written sci-fi before. In that respect, I know Loki's a bit different, and one of them's a comedy writer, and you got a story that had nothing to do with anything that's been in Doctor Who before.
No, the most unrecognizable episode ever.
And so basically, that, yes, they'll widen the field. There must be writers out there. And I agree with Martin. They are writers out there. The trouble is they won't pick them. They'll pick a certain...
a certain demographic.
Yeah. I don't know. Where novels are concerned, I'm not sure. I mean, it was years ago when I worked in HarperCollins for a time being, and I met loads of editors of that, and they have to plow through so many manuscripts that are sent into them, but it is entirely down to them what story they choose. I don't know if that's true. I doubt it. Their remit is to make money, so all they've got to do is pull up stories and back stories that they know are going to make money. That was the only remit they had then.
But Big Finish are writing excellent stories.
Big Finish,
I buy Big Finish audios. They are writing amazing stories.
Can they
attract hosts for TV? I'm not a big fan of Big Finish, to be fair. I don't really like the format of audio,
but
if I'm honest.
The
ones
well
I've listened to are very good.
They are well written. The writing talent is there. Some of the stories with the Big Finish are amazing. And the writing's there. Why can't they give it to Big Finish to create Doctor Who?
I agree.
If they know what they're doing.
Give them some more of an aspect.
The guy who wrote the Big Finish audio spare parts, get him to write a couple of Who episodes, because that's was an outstanding story.
Well, listen, guys, I think at this point we're going to wrap things up. Great discussions. Thank you all for joining us for the 200th episode. I cannot believe we've been at 200. Obviously, thanks to Nick at Sci Fanatics. It was great to have his input, even though obviously, it's the middle of the night for him. Brendan, thank you very much for coming on board. I'd love to be back on your channel sooner or later. Always great discussions on your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you, Malcolm, as well. And of course, after 5 years, Martin, thank you very much. You poor
Yes,
sod.
5 years.
Glutton for punishment. We'll be back next week. I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about yet. Maybe are we going to still do another episode with David on Alien Romulus, or are we done with that, guys? What do you think?
We're doing
No, we're
Blake
doing
7.
that
We've
next
got until
week.
next Tuesday to fucking watch 4 episodes.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, when are
happening.
you going to watch
Yes,
fucking
yes,
Blake
we're doing
7?
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
when
actually,
can you watch it?
no,
please?
right. It's half term next week. All right, I'll try.
Right,
I'll
no,
try.
no
Let's
excuses.
not even
Can
try.
you watch
I don't
4
understand. It was literally the
episodes?
greatest sci-fi show ever made. I don't
Yes,
understand.
thank you.
how that
Thank
could-
you.
All right, I'm going to. All right, Brendan decides. Am I doing it next week or not?
Go for it.
Right, there we go, guys. Thank you very much, all. We'll see you next time on the Solar Sci-Fi Podcast. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and
Hey, thanks a
prosper.
lot.
They guide the way on the Solar and Sci-Fi Podcast, where sci-fi holds sway, exploring the realms of sci-fi's domain, revealing old classics and what's new in the game, from galaxies afar to worlds unknown. So join Michael and Martin. Take a seat by the sun, for in the vast cosmos there's adventure untold to worlds unknown. On the silver screen to streaming streams, they navigate wormholes and fanciful dreams with humor and insight. They guide the way on the Solar and Sci-Fi Podcast, where sci-fi holds sway, exploring the realms of sci-fi's domain, reviewing old classics and what's new in the game, from galaxies afar to worlds unknown.